This video is taken from our premium membership. Link in the description. Low cost continuation of the market with daily content. We have a Discord, we have a platform. I didn't expect this to be a thing. Now, if they have filed for this officially, some work has happened in the background, probably for over a year or maybe a good few months at least. Now, I said it before, am I bullish, am I bearish? I don't know. I'm bullish short term for like the next cycle. But moving forward, this could be the thing that really makes us slow down a little bit. If institutional investments are coming in, the one thing that they will want to do is absolutely sack off that volatility. We mentioned it before. Look at the stock market, look at the trade. Oh, it's much easier. It is, because it doesn't have those absolute shitty drops. It doesn't have the tether foot. It doesn't have khaki influences that fear the shit out of everyone. And what you don't want is fear in the market when institutional investments are putting big money into it. And if this is going to then eventually link into share of pension funds and other kind of ETF funds, all that kind of stuff, and you've got a slice of Bitcoin within that, cool. What's it going to mean for the price? It's probably going to stabilize.
It'll probably start trading like gold.
Yeah, it probably will. And it will probably, like we say that, Bitcoin has been very dry over the last few weeks. When you look at altcoins versus this, it's actually performed pretty well. So it's looking interesting. But I've said this before publicly. I've said it to guys just today. I think this is going to be the last big cycle that we're going to get before we ever see an obvious kind of like cycle again, if that makes sense. So like before regulation comes in, before it all kind of slows down, it might be the last big one, where we're going to get life-changing like mentalness, right? But there will still be a lot of ways to make money in crypto for obvious reasons, because obviously the meme coin stuff, but it depends on regulation. So it's all if, buts, and maybes. But I do think, and I think a lot of people say the same as me, is if Blackrock come in, Bitcoin will probably slow down. Altcoins may not slow down, but Bitcoin might. But this is also a big factor of like why you should be stacking your sats. And if we do start to see, like, let's just say Bitcoin dominance does slow down and we go from like 50% down to say 30 below, you should probably take a good chunk of your monies into probably Bitcoin and Ethereum and try and hodl quite a lot of that if you are thinking long-term bullish on BlackRock being a ever-present in it with a spot ETF. So that's kind of my mindset on it. But I will also say she should probably diversify out of crypto and not be too heavy in altcoins in the future, because we may well find suffocation if that is the case with regulations and stuff like that, and also with BlackRock in the game. So you may well find the sun shines brighter on the top assets versus the Ellis assets, let's just say.
I reckon this long term is very bullish.
I think it's bullish for the top assets, but I think for a lot of altcoins,
I'll clarify, bullish for Bitcoin, because I was in a few people here will know this. I was talking about it last night on Discord. I was in a Twitter space yesterday, just after, it wasn't based on this, but it was just after this news broke, and the host was having so many requests about this story that they were talking about this, and it's knowledgeable people in crypto law and litigation and TradFi and some people who know what they're talking about and have got decent experience, and they were saying this is big because an ETF, someone like BlackRock, the reason institutions are able to invest in BlackRock funds and the reason a lot of retail get involved as well is because the due diligence that BlackRock do is next level.
Yes.
So if BlackRock are going to be going to do put their name to
follow the leader, isn't it?
A Bitcoin ETF, that's the green light for institutions. So
it literally is follow the leader, where when you put BlackRock's name to something, everyone will want it. Every news article is going to talk about it and want it. They're going to have people will be like using their name. But you also have all these other funds that have been on the fence for probably about 6, 7, 8 years thinking, something, we could really do that. But it's also cataclysmically wrong if we fuck it up but BlackRock are doing it, we could probably start to edge in, and it will change the dynamic of institutional investments. And I do think it will be good for Bitcoin, but I do think as well, a lot of those newer, dodgier projects will probably not see much sunlight. And I think a lot of retail will go that way. A lot of the degens will probably stick to where they're used to, and they probably won't get that many life-changing gains, really.
It could... This right. Canada's already got a spot ETF for Bitcoin.
It's not very good though, is it?
They released it, I think, February 21. Started kind of it was around about the first consolidation of the run up to the first all-time high.
Yeah.
And they bought over several months something like $40 billion of Bitcoin to back the ETF.
That was quite a high price then as well.
No, yeah. it was that consolidation was kind of on the way up to it's where's left of your grey line. Not that one, the first all-time high.
Oh, so, up here?
No, left a bit more.
It's sorry, here, right.
February 21.
So early 2021.
That consolidation there. So there and all the way up to the all-time high.
Oh, okay.
Kind of around that time.
So roughly just below
yeah, so they didn't buy all at once. It was as the fund became more popular and more people buying, they got to buy more Bitcoin to back it. So that's 40 billion from Canada. Now, generally speaking, what Canada's flows are about a tenth of the US flows. So you can imply from that if it's 40 billion inflows from the Canadian ETFs, well, that means it's going to be 400 billion from American ETFs.
Probably. And you could probably say that Asia would probably match it as well.
Yeah, it's not likely to be that. It's not likely to be as quick as Canada because the US is the main market of the world and people's risk tolerance is going to be lower. But I mean, if it's 200 billion, if it's 300 billion, it's going to be huge. And as more people do it, as the kind of network effect, I don't know if that really applies here, but like you said, follow the leader. And I mean, if this does go through, and it looks like BlackRock don't mess around, and they don't want a failed application to their name, so it's probably already been kind of tentatively agreed.
Well, the fact that it's in the open domain of the media is a big indication that they've already done some massive legwork. And you got to think, we're talking about follow the leader. Look what happened when Tesla said we're going to accept Bitcoin for cars. It took off. That was one thing that went, wow, Tesla put their name. Obviously, they took it off again pretty quickly, but it's still a big thing. And I still think that Bitcoin does have that element of like, for some people, curiosity, but they need more confirmations. And I do think that will give it a confirmation massively. It should do anyways. Yeah. But as you say, you're going to see multiple more companies like Fidelity will probably follow suit as well. Maybe even Vanguard, etc. Be like, oh, hold on a minute. Now we're talking. And then it'd be like parts of people's pension funds, parts of people's index ETFs for, stocks and shares, and be like, okay, cool.
It's an iShares. It's an iShares ETF. So it's it's got BlackRock's name to it. It's got iShares' name to it. iShares may actually be owned by BlackRock. I don't know. So that might be one and the same thing.
It is an ETF then?
It's, right.
Probably technical wording's different, probably.
There's conflicting arguments on Twitter on this.
Yeah, that's what I said to Ash before we jumped on the live, because I saw Pomp's tweet and he said it's not actually an ETF.
But if you have a look at there's a Bloomberg ETF expert who has said it is the same thing as the GLD trust. If you have a look at the GLD gold ETF,
is it a way of them essentially getting an ETF without having to seek the same sort of approval?
I had a look at the S1, the filing with the SEC, and and it mentions I searched for ETF, and it's like there's 36 search results for the letters ETF in the S1 filing. and I had a look at the GLD. I can't remember. I had a look at GLD, and it may have been that GLD didn't actually say ETF in it. But it's mixed, and I don't. I'm out of my depth.
Fucking everywhere, though. I will say that.
But there's a story I saw. I haven't read it yet, but there's a CoinDesk story.
That one,
this one,
iShares.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it's absolutely everywhere. So to me, right, I said it before. If they're putting this as a public press release on this is on everywhere. This is on CNBC. It's on Bloomberg. It'll be on all the private terminals as well. It's even got Harry Fink's. I call Harry Fink, and I think he's even got some quotes in there from some of the boffins around and stuff. So yeah, they're not going to be playing around with this if they're just going to be like, oh, look at us, but
yeah, it's not a stunt like Tesla.
I was just going to say, BlackRock's like the opposite end of the spectrum to Tesla when it comes to Tesla's so volatile.
And, yes, it's different.
And Elon Musk, Elon Musk is a character, but BlackRock's like the opposite of that, because they are the institutional.
They are the biggest, and you can see here more than 10 trillion assets under management, which is that's a benchmark of like craziness. But this is where we're talking about. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know who or what is going to do next in terms of like put their name to it. And we had that in the previous cycle where we started to rise up, and obviously Tesla, that Canadian ETF, and like the cycle and the snowball got bigger. And this is why I say to people, you need to be exposed in case something does happen. And this is one of those things that could happen, and it could really just flip it on its head. And it could like lead us into hype of halving. It could lead us into the new presidential election run.
Yes. Halving was mentioned on that space I was on as well, that the timing of this is just
it's spot on. It's literally
it really is.
What a coincidence.
Well, that's the thing. Is it a coincidence? Tinfoil hat time. Is this the powers that be in America, the biggest and the most liquid financial market in the world? Are they coordinating to clean up the crypto space and to make it a place where institutional investors, hedge funds, but more to the point, pension funds, because
I think pensions are a big thing.
They need stability.
Yes.
So if these people are going to be putting some of their money in, 1% on some of those portfolios, that's a lot of money.
Here's the thing. I genuinely think if they wanted to crush crypto, they would have done it back in its infancy.
I think now they're looking at crypto as a money-making vehicle.
Yeah. They want their slice of the pie, basically, and they'll use all of their tools to get the best or the biggest slice they can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I think it's got to the stage where they realized, oh shit, this is actually something. We can't fight it anymore.
It's hard to quantify how important and how good Bitcoin has been since its inception. Like, a lot of people hate it, but it's proven that it's literally bulletproof. Like, you can't take it down. You can't do, as you say, if they wanted it killed, they could have killed it in the Mt. Gox days very easily, absolutely easily. And that was like 5 years after its inception. So the fact that it's growing to this asset now, and the fact that they're looking at it and they're thinking, right, we could do this at roughly whatever price, say 20 to 25K, 30K Bitcoin, to allow a fund for that. And as you say, like 1 to 2% of whatever wealth funds can go into it, or if they want to put like a little percentage part of their portfolio into it, even if it's like 0.5%.
Yeah, I was just
like that. Fuck, because some of these funds are massive. They're like, some of them are like 1 to 2 trillion under management on their big ones, and most of them are like 300 to 500 billion. And you think to yourself, even the Vanguard ones are massive. Like, you just got to look at them companies. You think, fucking hell, like if that really does go as a part of like a couple of percent, if that. Wow, it's like money, and as well, it's spot, it's physical.
Yeah.
And like, that's all you want. I couldn't give a monkey's toss about the other ones. Like, if it's not physical, I'm not interested because it doesn't work, and it's, then it opens the door, and we talked about follow the leader. It also opens the door for Ethereum. It opens the door for other assets, which may or not be used. Maybe don't want to get too excited, but there's probably about 10 to 15 altcoins I may want to use as a fund itself alongside Bitcoin being the heaviest weight. And then obviously a couple of percent for some other altcoins that could obviously make it up a bit more different. So there's so many things it can do, but it obviously takes time. But as I said, they wouldn't be fanning about with this if they weren't going to put this to press. It's not something you're going to say lightly, is it?
The question is, when do they start buying?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I don't know if any of these articles mention hint towards dates this will go live. What was being talked about in that space that was in yesterday, they were suggesting it would likely be sometime next year.
Perfect.
But that gives them a lot of time to buy in, to accumulate, and to be ready. But it also gives you that time period to go, can we drive this price lower to get a cheaper value?
This is the thing. This is what something else that I'm kind of thinking, tinfoil hat kind of thing. It's enough time to get a lot of, make progress on the Binance stuff with SEC, because that stuff's moving fast. And it's enough time to get rid of other rubbish and sort Coinbase out, because Coinbase custody are going to be there.
They don't need to buy BTC, just liquidate Sailor and take his.
That would be funny.